Hey there. Did you know we might not be the first intelligent beings to live on Earth? Sounds impossible, right? We grow up believing that human history is the story, that we're the pioneers, the first to build cities, to invent technology, to leave our mark on this planet. But what if we're wrong? What if everything we know is only the most recent chapter in a much older story? What if entire civilizations came before us, rising, falling, and leaving behind almost nothing but whispers in stone? This isn't just fantasy. It's a real scientific idea debated by serious researchers. It's called the Silurian hypothesis, and it asks a chilling question. If an advanced civilization lived on Earth millions of years ago, would we even be able to find it today? The unsettling answer, probably not, because Earth is ruthless at erasing its past. Continents shift. Wipe the slate clean. In just a few million years, almost every trace of us could vanish. So, if another civilization had already existed here, would we have any way of knowing? Hello. Settle in. Get comfortable. Dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. Because today, we're going on a journey. Think about how fragile our own world really is. Skyscrapers, satellites, data servers. All of it could crumble into nothing in less than 100,000 years. That's a blink in geological time. Now, flip that around. If there were others before us, advanced, intelligent beings, where is their story? Some scientists believe there may already be hints. Unexplained anomalies in fossils, mysterious chemical traces in climate data, odd patterns in geology that don't quite fit, clues that something unnatural might have happened long before humans. And that's the power of the Silurian hypothesis. It forces us to question what we think we know, to wonder, are we really the first? Or just the latest? Because if civilizations came before us, where did they go? What mistakes did they make? And are we destined to follow the same path? Welcome to Space Nap. This is where we explore mysteries that stretch across time, space, and existence itself. From Earth's hidden past, to the secrets of the cosmos, to the ultimate question of our place in it all. So relax, buckle up, and let your imagination drift. Because today, we're diving into the Silurian hypothesis. And by the end, you may never look at human history or the future the same way again. And hey, don't forget to subscribe. Not just to support the channel, but because you don't want to miss where this journey takes us next. The name sounds complicated, Silurian hypothesis, but the idea, shockingly simple. It asks one question. If an advanced civilization lived on Earth millions of years ago, would we be able to detect it today? That's it. That's the entire hypothesis. And the answer is way more unsettling than you think. Now, let's break it down. First, why Silurian? It comes from a science fiction story, Doctor Who. In it, there's a reptilian race called the Silurians, who lived on Earth long before humans. Scientists borrowed the name as a playful reference, but the science is no joke. This is a real idea published by respected researchers, not conspiracy theorists, not internet myth makers, actual scientists. Here's the core problem. Earth is great at recycling itself. Rocks shift, seas rise, continents crash together and break apart. In the process, almost all evidence of surface life gets wiped clean. Think about it. The dinosaurs lived 65 million years ago. Gigantic creatures, dominating the planet for 160 million years. And what's left of them now? Just fragments, bones, fossils here and there, a tiny sample of the life that once ruled Earth. Now imagine a civilization that existed 100 million years ago, with cities, technology, energy. Would any of it survive long enough for us to notice? Probably not. Steel rusts, concrete crumbles, plastics break down. Even the pyramids, our most eternal structures, would vanish within a few million years. Geology plays rough. Time is merciless. The Silurian hypothesis argues that if there were advanced civilizations before us, the only traces left wouldn't be buildings or tools. It would be chemical fingerprints, carbon spikes in the atmosphere, unnatural metals in ancient rocks, sudden warming or cooling of climate patterns, odd layers of sediment that don't match anything natural. Sound familiar? That's exactly what humans are leaving behind today. Plastics in the ocean, carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, radioactive isotopes from nuclear activity. If a civilization millions of years from now studied our era, they wouldn't see our cities. They'd see the chemical scars we left behind. So the hypothesis asks, what if the same thing already happened before? What if ancient civilizations left their own scars, and we've mistaken them for natural events? Sudden warming in the Paleocene, weird spikes in carbon levels, mass extinctions with no clear cause. Could these be the echoes of forgotten technology? That's what makes the Silurian hypothesis so powerful. It doesn't claim aliens built the pyramids. It doesn't push wild theories. It asks a sober scientific question. Could we detect an ancient industrial civilization in the geological record? And the scariest part? The answer might be yes. Or worse, we already have. We just don't recognize it yet. This is the stage we're standing on. Earth might not be on its first act. We might just be a sequel, another attempt, another cycle in deep time, and that changes everything about how we see ourselves. Why would scientists, rational, evidence-driven people, even consider the idea of lost civilizations? Because when you look at Earth's history, it's full of mysteries. Let's start with time. Earth is 4.5 billion years old. Humans? We've only been around for about 300 years. That's nothing, barely a blink in geological time. Now, here's the kicker. Civilization, our cities, technology, everything. That's only about 6 years old. Think about the math. If Earth's timeline were a giant 24-hour clock, humans show up at the very last second before midnight. So here's the obvious question. What happened during the other 23 hours, 59 minutes and 59 seconds? That's why scientists take the Silurian hypothesis seriously, because statistically, there's been plenty of time for something else to rise and fall before us. Now, let's talk about the record. Geology is a brutal editor. It erases almost everything. Bones dissolve, buildings crumble, mountains rise, oceans swallow land. In just a few million years, even our proudest monuments could disappear. The fossil record itself is patchy. We don't even have a complete record of all dinosaur species, and they dominated Earth for over 160 million years. If creatures that gigantic barely left traces, what chance would an earlier industrial civilization have? That's reason number one. Time is vast and records are fragile. Reason number two, anomalies. When scientists look at the deep past, they find odd spikes in climate and chemistry, sudden warming events, carbon dioxide surges, mass extinctions with no clear explanation. Sound familiar? They look eerily similar to what we're doing right now, burning fossil fuels, pumping carbon, changing the climate. Could some of those ancient anomalies be footprints of a civilization? That's the question scientists can't ignore. Reason number three, science thrives on bold questions. The Silurian hypothesis isn't about proving a lost civilization existed. It's about testing whether we'd even be able to detect one if it had. It pushes geology, archaeology, and even climate science to think bigger. To ask, what counts as evidence? What survives millions of years? What doesn't? And finally, reason number 4, because ignoring the question is arrogant. Humans love to think we're unique. The first, the only. But nature rarely creates something just once. If intelligence evolved here once, why not twice? Or 3 times? That humility, that willingness to question even our own place in history, this is why real scientists put this hypothesis on the table. So, no, they're not saying dinosaurs had iPhones. They're saying something deeper. If there was a civilization before us, would we even know? That's why the Silurian hypothesis matters. Not because it proves we're not the first, but because it proves we can't be so sure, and that single doubt cracks open the door to one of the most profound possibilities of all time. Here's the tough part. If there really was a civilization before us, what would prove it? Not pyramids, not skyscrapers, not spaceships buried under the sand, because all of that crumbles away. Time eats everything. So scientists ask a sharper question. What survives millions of years? The answer isn't objects. It's signatures. Let's break them down. Number 1. Chemical fingerprints. Every industrial society leaves chemical scars. Burn enough coal or oil, and the carbon balance in the atmosphere shifts. Those shifts get locked into rocks and sediments. In fact, geologists today can already detect our industrial fingerprint. It's called the Anthropocene layer. Future scientists will see a sudden spike in carbon and pollution, proof that humans were here. If another civilization burned fuel millions of years ago, we might see their spike too. Number 2. Artificial elements. Some things don't occur naturally, like certain radioactive isotopes, or synthetic compounds, like plastics. If we ever find unnatural elements in ancient rocks, from way before humans, that could be a smoking gun. Number 3. Unnatural climate swings. Earth's climate changes naturally, sure, but some shifts are too fast, too sharp, too extreme. Like what we're seeing now. If the fossil record shows a sudden warming event, and it matches what we'd expect from industrial activity, that's another clue. Number 4. Geological oddities. Imagine a layer of ash, but not from volcanoes. Or a strange band of sediment with metals in odd ratios. Stuff that screams industry, not nature. These anomalies are rare, but they can last millions of years. They're like footprints pressed into the planet itself. Number 5. Extinctions. Civilizations consume resources. They disrupt ecosystems. If we found a mysterious extinction event, one not tied to asteroids, volcanoes, or natural causes, that could point to an industrial collapse. Here's the key. Proof wouldn't look like a lost city, frozen in stone. It would look like patterns. Global changes. Weird scars in the Earth's memory. Think of it like this. If aliens came to Earth 100 million years from now, they wouldn't find New York. They'd find plastic molecules buried in rock and carbon isotopes screaming industry. That's how they'd know we were here. So, when scientists test the Silurian hypothesis, they're not searching for buried machines. They're searching for those hidden fingerprints. And honestly, some of them already exist. Spikes, anomalies, sudden shifts. The question is, do they come from nature or from someone before us? That's the mystery. That's the hunt. Proof, in the end, would be one undeniable signature. Something Earth couldn't make on its own. Something that whispers through deep time, we were here before you. Here's the brutal truth. The Earth doesn't keep records the way we want it to. Civilizations rise. Civilizations fall. And the planet swallows almost every trace. Let's talk numbers. The oldest ocean floor we have today? It's only about 200 million years old. That sounds ancient. But Earth is 4.5 billion years old. Do the math. That means the seafloor is constantly recycled. Old rock gets pushed down into the mantle. New rock rises to take its place. So if a civilization ever built a city on the coast millions of years ago, it's gone, completely erased. Now look at land. Even there, erosion is relentless. Wind, rain, earthquakes, glaciers. They grind mountains down. They bury valleys. They smash cities into dust. Take the pyramids. We see them as eternal. But give them a few million years? They'd be gone too. Ground into sand. Scattered like they never existed. Here's the kicker. Most fossils we have are already rare. We've studied dinosaurs for over a century. They dominated Earth for 160 million years. Yet we've only found fragments of their existence. If something as massive as a brontosaurus barely leaves a mark, what chance does a skyscraper have? This is why scientists warn, absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Just because we don't see ancient ruins doesn't mean they never existed. Here's another factor. The deeper in time you go, the blurrier the record gets. Beyond a few million years, geology starts to look like a patchwork quilt. Layers missing, layers distorted, layers melted by heat and pressure. So, if there was a civilization, say 100 million years ago, finding it would be like finding a single grain of sand in the Sahara. Even human history proves the point. We've had advanced societies for only a few thousand years, yet archaeologists still struggle to reconstruct civilizations that collapsed just 50 years ago. Now stretch that across 100 million years. Almost impossible. And that's the haunting reality. Earth is both a cradle and a destroyer. It nurtures life, but it also buries its secrets deep, which is why the Silurian hypothesis isn't dismissed, because scientists know how fragile the record really is. They know civilizations can rise and vanish without leaving a trace. So when we look around and say, there's no proof of anyone before us, the planet quietly replies, maybe you're just not looking in the right layer. In geological time, we are just a whisper, a thin line of carbon, a faint scar in stone. And if we disappeared tomorrow, in a few million years, it might look like we were never here at all. If there was an advanced civilization before us, one clue would stand out: fossil fuels. Because burning fossil fuels doesn't just make smoke, it leaves fingerprints. And those fingerprints get locked into the earth itself. Let's break it down. When we burn coal, oil, or gas, we change the carbon balance in the atmosphere. Normally, carbon exists in different flavors called isotopes, but industry tilts that balance. It makes one flavor more common than the other. Geologists call this a carbon isotope shift, and it doesn't just vanish, it gets recorded in rock layers, in limestone, in marine sediments, in the shells of ancient creatures. Fast forward millions of years, that chemical record would still be there, a permanent signature of industrial activity. Now, here's the strange part. We've already found mysterious spikes in Earth's deep history, events where carbon suddenly shifted in weird ways. One example? The Paleocene-Eocene thermal maximum. 55 million years ago, the planet suddenly warmed. Carbon levels skyrocketed. Oceans became acidic. Species went extinct. Sound familiar? It looks a lot like what's happening now. But here's the kicker. Scientists aren't fully sure what caused it. Massive volcanoes? Methane leaks? Or something else? That's exactly where the Silurian hypothesis steps in. It asks, what if that spike wasn't natural? What if it was industrial? What if it was the exhaust fumes of a civilization we don't remember? Now, let's talk about other industrial markers. Plastics. Modern plastics break down, sure, but they don't vanish completely. Tiny fragments, microplastics, can get buried in sediments, and over geologic time, they can fuse into rock. Geologists already have a word for this: plastiglomerate. If another species digs through our future rocks, they'll find plastic turned to stone, synthetic chemicals. Think fertilizers, pesticides, industrial waste. These don't occur naturally. If we ever find them in ancient rocks, that's evidence of someone tampering with chemistry long before us. Heavy metals. Industrial activity concentrates metals like lead, chromium, or rare earths. Nature spreads them thin, but industry clumps them together. So, if we see weird metal deposits in odd places, that could be another signal. Here's the big idea. Civilizations leave behind chemical shadows. Not pyramids, not monuments, but altered chemistry frozen in stone. If humanity disappeared tomorrow, millions of years from now, the rocks would still tell on us. Carbon spikes, plastic fossils, metal traces, all shouting, a technological species was here. So the hunt for lost civilizations isn't about digging up ancient tools. It's about reading the Earth's chemistry like a diary. Goo. And sometimes that diary has strange entries, anomalies, events that don't add up. Were they natural disasters? Or the industrial scars of a forgotten civilization? That's the mystery. That's what scientists are trying to solve. When nature runs its course, chemistry follows a rhythm. Carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, they all appear in steady, predictable ratios. But when industry enters the picture, that rhythm breaks, the ratios shift, and the soil remembers. This is why geologists pay close attention to isotopes. Quick refresher. Isotopes are just flavors of the same element. Carbon-12, carbon-13, carbon-14. Oxygen-16, oxygen-18. They behave almost the same, but not quite. And the tiny differences they leave behind in rocks and soil? That's where the story hides. Take carbon isotopes. Burning fossil fuels releases lots of carbon-12, way more than carbon-13. So, when civilizations burn through massive amounts of coal and oil, the balance tilts. The soil, sediments, and even fossils record that tilt. Millions of years later, a geologist could measure those ratios and say, something unnatural happened here. Now, let's look at nitrogen isotopes. Modern farming uses synthetic fertilizers. They boost food production, but they also leave behind a weird isotope signal in the soil, a fingerprint of industry. So imagine if we dug into a soil layer 10 million years old and found the exact same pattern, not volcanic, not biological, but artificial. That would be a smoking gun. Then there's oxygen isotopes. Industry-driven climate change warms the planet. Ice melts, oceans shift. That leaves a trace too. Ancient shells, coral reefs, and even cave formations capture it. The ratios in their oxygen isotopes reveal massive, rapid climate shifts. Shifts that might not make sense unless someone caused them. Here's why this matters. We've already seen strange isotope anomalies in the deep past. For example, during the Paleocene-Eocene thermal maximum, carbon levels spiked, the oceans acidified, and the planet overheated. The isotopes show something unusual happened, but no one can agree on exactly what. Was it volcanoes? Was it methane bursts? Or was it something industrial? That's the open question. Because isotopes are the best storytellers of all. Buildings crumble, fossils vanish, but isotopes stay locked in rocks for millions of years. If there was ever a pre-human civilization burning fuel, mining metals, or altering the climate, we'd expect to see their ghost in isotope patterns. And here's the twist. Future civilizations studying us will see the same thing. They'll dig into our soil. They'll notice the sudden tilt in carbon ratios, the nitrogen anomaly from fertilizers, the oxygen disruption from melting ice caps. They'll know, without a doubt, that we were here, that we changed the planet in ways nature never would. So when scientists today hunt for lost civilizations, they aren't looking for bones or broken statues. They're scanning isotope charts. They're searching for whispers in the soil. Because if someone came before us, their legacy might not be a monument, but a chemical scar, A scar that says, "We were here, and we burned too bright." Extinction is normal. Species rise, species fall, Earth resets, and life carries on. But some extinctions, they look different. They feel engineered. Let's break this down. Most natural extinctions come from big, obvious forces. Asteroids, supervolcanoes, sudden climate swings. But when you look closely at the fossil record, some events don't fit so neatly into the natural disaster box. Take the Permian-Triassic extinction about 252 million years ago. The Great Dying. Up to 90% of species vanished. Oceans turned toxic. Atmosphere overloaded with carbon. It almost mirrors what unchecked industrial activity could do. Sure, volcanism is the leading theory, but the chemical signals in rocks, carbon spikes, rapid warming, ocean acidification, sound eerily like industrial fingerprints. Then there's the late Devonian extinction, roughly 360 million years ago. It dragged on for millions of years. Plants spread across land, changing CO2 levels. Oceans lost oxygen. Marine life collapsed. But here's the strange part. The patterns look like sustained environmental stress. Exactly what you'd expect if some civilization was messing with ecosystems, slowly but surely. Now, let's talk about something even wilder. Events that look sudden, sharp, almost surgical. Scientists call them pulse extinctions. Species disappear almost overnight in geological terms, not over millions of years, but in bursts. That's what you'd expect if nuclear war, geoengineering gone wrong, mass chemical pollution, or runaway climate experiments torched the biosphere. And the fossil record does show these pulses. Species thriving one layer of rock, gone in the very next. It raises the question, were these just freak natural accidents? Or are we staring at the aftermath of civilizations who pushed too far? Here's another clue. Extinctions often line up with anomalous isotope signatures. Carbon ratios flipping, sudden temperature spikes, unusual metal concentrations. It's like the planet's diary of industrial fallout. Imagine a species mining aggressively, burning fuel without limits, or releasing synthetic chemicals. The crash that follows wouldn't just wipe them out, it would ripple across ecosystems. Exactly the kind of mass die-off we already see in Earth's history. And here's the kicker, what's happening right now with us. Deforestation, extinctions, ocean dead zones. Looks a lot like those ancient engineered collapses. We may actually be living through a replay. So maybe these strange extinction events are more than mysteries. Maybe they're warnings. Fossilized caution signs from civilizations that didn't make it. The Earth is whispering to us, you're not the first to walk this path. Others tried, others failed. Their legacy is extinction. Do not follow, because every engineered extinction in the fossil record could be the shadow of a lost civilization, a reminder that progress without balance doesn't end in survival. It ends in silence. Climate changes all the time. Ice ages roll in. Warm periods follow. Volcanoes erupt. Continents drift. Nature has plenty of tools to stir the thermostat. But some shifts, they're just too fast, too sharp, too extreme. And that raises a wild question. What if some of those ancient climate swings weren't natural at all? What if they were the side effects of technology? Let's look at the Paleocene-Eocene thermal maximum, PETM, about 56 million years ago. The planet suddenly heated up by 5 to 8 degrees. Oceans acidified. Polar regions turned tropical. Carbon dioxide levels spiked in just a few thousand years. A blink of an eye in geological terms. Volcanoes? Maybe. Methane bursts? Possibly. But the pattern looks eerily similar to what we're doing today by burning fossil fuels. The soil and ocean sediments carry the same isotope fingerprints. It's like déjà vu, as if another civilization once flipped the same switch. Then there's the younger Dryas, around 800 years ago. Earth was warming after the Ice Age, and then, suddenly snap, it froze again. Temperatures plunged. Glaciers grew back. Then, just as abruptly, it warmed again. Theories? A comet impact. Meltwater floods. But some researchers whisper another possibility. Geoengineering? What if someone tried to cool the planet on purpose? Maybe to stop runaway warming. Maybe to save themselves. And ended up flipping the climate too hard in the other direction. Think about it. If we can talk today about spraying particles into the atmosphere to reflect sunlight, why couldn't someone else have done it ages ago? Another case, abrupt ocean anoxia events. Times when seas lost their oxygen almost completely. Marine life died off in droves. And the triggers look suspiciously like fertilizer runoff. The same kind of thing our industrial farming causes now. Coincidence? Maybe. But when you line up these events across history, the pattern starts to feel less like random chaos and more like experiments gone wrong. Here's the bigger picture. Nature's climate shifts are usually slow, tens of thousands of years, even millions. But these rapid swings, just centuries or millennia, look more like the footprint of technology. So, if an ancient civilization once rose and fell, their final act might not be monuments or machines. It might be scars in the climate record, spikes of carbon, sudden freezes, abrupt heat waves, planetary chaos written in ice cores and rock layers. And now, here's the unsettling part. Future geologists will say the same thing about us. They'll see the carbon spike we're leaving behind right now. They'll call it unnatural. They'll know someone was here, burning, building, changing the thermostat of Earth. So, the question is simple. Are we the first civilization to toy with the planet's climate, or just the latest in a long line of species that learned too late? That Earth always wins? Earth is old, 4.5 billion years old. That's an ocean of time. And here's the truth. We barely understand most of it. Think about this. The fossil record is like a book with 90% of its pages missing. Whole chapters are gone. Entire ages are nothing but blank spaces. Scientists call this the rock record bias. Rocks erode, sediments vanish, continents shift and recycle into the mantle. And with them, any evidence of what once lived or built here disappears. Now, here's where it gets wild. These missing periods aren't just gaps of thousands of years. We're talking millions, even tens of millions. Take the early Triassic, right after the Great Dying. We know life came back, but the details are fuzzy. Only fragments remain. If a civilization had existed then, we'd barely have a trace of it left today. Or consider the Neoproterozoic era over 500 million years ago. Glaciers covered the planet in snowball Earth events. Afterward, life exploded, but in between, the record is thin, broken, confusing. What happened in those lost windows? We don't know. Even the Cenozoic, the so-called Age of Mammals, has gaps, periods where sedimentation slowed or erosion wiped the slate clean, hundreds of thousands of years at a time, where the trail simply vanishes. Here's why this matters. If humans vanished tomorrow, our skyscrapers, cars, satellites, most would decay within 100 years. In a million years, almost nothing recognizable would remain. Now, stretch that to 10 million, 100 million, a billion. Do you see the problem? Any advanced society before us could have risen and fallen entirely inside one of those lost windows. We'd never know. The rocks would tell us nothing. The fossils would be silent. Even stranger, geologists admit there are places where time itself is missing. These are called unconformities. Layers of rock that should exist don't. Millions of years erased in a single boundary line. No record, no explanation, just absence. What happened during those erasures? Was it just natural erosion? Or something catastrophic, even deliberate? Civilizations rising and falling in the gaps. Here's the uncomfortable truth. When you zoom out far enough, Earth looks like a story written on fragile paper. Most pages have already burned away, and we're trying to guess the plot from the scraps that survived. So when scientists laugh off the Silurian hypothesis, when could another civilization even have existed? The answer is simple: almost anywhere, almost any time, because the evidence we'd need might already be gone. The lost periods remind us of one thing: the past is far murkier than we like to admit, and inside those dark spaces of deep time, it could hide entire histories we'll never uncover. Minerals don't lie. They form under pressure, heat, and chemistry, the language of geology. But every now and then, we stumble on something that makes scientists scratch their heads. Minerals that don't quite fit. Minerals that whisper, maybe I wasn't made by nature at all. Take trinitite, a green glassy material. It was formed in 1945, when the first nuclear bomb exploded in New Mexico. Sand melted, chemicals fused, a brand new mineral was born, one that never existed in Earth's 4.5 billion year history until humans arrived. That's a big clue. Advanced technology leaves fingerprints in geology. If we found an ancient trinitite buried deep in the rock record, what would that mean? Now, let's go deeper. Scientists have discovered odd glassy deposits called tektites. Smooth, dark, aerodynamic shapes. They rain down during meteor impacts. At least, that's the explanation. But some samples? Their composition looks too pure, too uniform, almost like controlled melting, almost like an industrial process. Then there's synthetic-looking alloys embedded in rocks. A strange chromium-nickel-steel blend found in ancient strata in Russia. Natural? Maybe. But it eerily resembles the kind of mixtures used in aerospace today. And how about the mystery spheres discovered in South Africa? Perfectly balanced metal spheres, some with grooved ridges. They're found in layers over 2 billion years old. Geologists argue they're natural mineral formations, but critics point out they look suspiciously like engineered objects. Here's the unsettling part. Our own industry is creating artificial minerals right now, on a massive scale: concrete, plastic-infused sediments, nuclear glasses, exotic alloys. Future geologists will find these and know someone intelligent was here. So, if we're leaving a mineral trail, why assume no one else did before us? The big challenge is separating the natural from the artificial. Earth is a master builder. Volcanoes can create glasses that look industrial. High pressures can form exotic crystals. Even lightning makes fulgurites glassy tubes in the sand. But when you find patterns, when you see repeated materials that shouldn't exist naturally, that's when the Silurian hypothesis lights up. Imagine digging into a 200 million year old rock and finding a mineral that could only form at 20 degrees C, a temperature no volcano ever reached, or discovering metallic alloys identical to modern stainless steel. Would we dismiss them as oddities, or finally admit someone may have been here before us? Minerals are the most durable record keepers on Earth. Bones rot, cities crumble, but minerals, they last for billions of years. So maybe the best proof of an ancient civilization, it isn't fossils or ruins. It's hiding in the rocks under our feet, silent, strange, and waiting for us to notice. If you want proof of industry, look for fire. If you want proof of advanced technology, look for radiation. Here's the wild part. Earth already holds evidence of ancient nuclear reactions. But were they natural or something else? Let's start with Oklo, Gabon. 2 billion years ago, deep in Africa, something unbelievable happened. A uranium deposit went critical, a natural nuclear reactor. Yes, You heard that right. Nature itself created a nuclear chain reaction. For hundreds of thousands of years, it burned underground, leaving behind fission byproducts, just like the ones we see in modern nuclear plants. Scientists say Oklo proves nuclear signatures in rocks don't always mean civilization. But flip the question around. If a natural reactor can exist, what's stopping an artificial one from leaving behind the same clues? Because here's what nuclear activity does. It warps geology. It scatters isotopes. It leaves fingerprints in the soil, rare elements, unusual ratios, strange radioactive half-lives. Think of cesium-137. It doesn't occur naturally. It's born only in reactors or explosions. If someone finds cesium in Earth's strata 1 million years from now, they'll know. We weren't the first to split the atom. Now, imagine looking back into deep time. What if we discovered cesium-like anomalies in 200-million-year-old rocks? Would we assume contamination? Or admit there might have been a civilization? Some scientists already point to mysterious spikes, odd isotope ratios in certain sediments, unexplained radiation traces that don't match known natural processes. They usually get written off as lab error or rare natural quirks. But the Silurian hypothesis asks, what if they're not? And it's not just reactors. Think about nuclear weapons. A single detonation can leave behind glassy craters, radioactive particles, and long-lived isotopes. Even if cities vanish, the soil remembers. Our planet is littered with Chernobyls, Fukushimas, Hiroshima shadows, all written into the Earth's skin. If humanity disappeared today, those radioactive scars would still be detectable for millions of years. So here's the haunting thought. If another civilization played with nuclear fire long before us, the evidence might still be hiding in the rocks, maybe buried deep beneath layers of sediment, maybe dismissed as odd chemistry in a geology paper. Radiation is stubborn. It doesn't care about time. It lingers. It glows quietly in the background, waiting for someone to ask the right question. Oklo shows us what's possible. Nature proved nuclear signatures can survive billions of years. So, the next time we find unusual isotopes in ancient strata, do we shrug and call it coincidence? Or admit the unthinkable, that someone, long before us, already discovered the atom's terrible secret? Because if nuclear scars exist in deep time, they're not just scientific curiosities, they're warnings. Here's a mind-bender. What if the ruins of an ancient civilization are hiding in plain sight? And what if we've been walking over them, calling them mountains and rocks? Think about it. Time is brutal. Skyscrapers crumble in centuries. Bridges rust. Entire cities vanish under jungles in a few thousand years. Now stretch that to millions of years. Everything recognizable gone. Concrete turns to dust. Steel dissolves. Even plastics break down, leaving only traces in sediments. So, what survives? The biggest things, the megastructures. But here's the twist. Over geological time, those massive constructions could be warped, buried, or eroded until they look exactly like natural formations. Let's play detective. Take the Great Pyramids of Egypt. If humans disappeared today and 1 million years passed, would they still look like pyramids? Probably not. They'd erode into lumps of rock. Future geologists might call them strange hills, or consider massive earthworks, dams, or highways. Give it long enough, and they'd just look like plateaus, ridges, or riverbeds. Natural, ordinary, but maybe not. This is where the Silurian hypothesis hits hard. If an advanced civilization existed before us, their skyscrapers could already be catalogued in geology textbooks as weird but natural formations. And we already have candidates. Yonaguni Monument, Japan. A massive stepped structure under the sea. Some say it's natural rock erosion. Others swear it's carved by intelligent hands. The debate rages on. the Giant's Causeway in Ireland, hexagonal columns of basalt, striking, precise. Nature made them through volcanic cooling, but imagine stumbling on them without knowing the geology. Wouldn't they scream, designed? Then there's Baalbek, Lebanon. Enormous stone blocks, some weighing over 1,000 tons, placed with precision that baffles engineers even today. Are they remnants of lost technology, or just ancient human grit? Here's the kicker. Even if we did find a true megastructure from millions of years ago, how would we prove it wasn't natural? Geology is messy. Erosion erases tool marks. Sediment buries design. All that remains are colossal shapes, ambiguous and silent. That's why this idea is so chilling. We could be looking at alien-scale architecture every day, but dismissing it as rocks. Is not to crease, and the matted, askly, is not into min. So what would we need to tell the difference? Patterns, symmetry, materials that don't belong, geometries that nature doesn't usually make. Because if you saw a mountain shaped like a perfect cube, you'd stop and wonder. But if it's just eroded into a rough block, you'd walk right past it. Maybe Earth is already hiding the ruins of lost civilizations. Not in the form of temples or machines, but in mountains and cliffs that aren't as natural as we think. The real question is, do we have the eyes to see them? If you want to hide something, really hide it, Antarctica is the perfect place. A continent twice the size of Australia, buried under miles of ice. More than 90% of its surface is hidden. What lies beneath? We honestly don't know. Here's the kicker. Antarctica wasn't always frozen. Go back 50 million years, and it was lush. Forests, rivers, life everywhere. Fossils of plants and animals prove it. Even dinosaur bones. So, the big question is, if Antarctica once looked like today's South America or Africa, could a civilization have thrived there before the ice came? Think about it. If humans disappeared today, our cities would crumble in a few thousand years. But in Antarctica, ruins wouldn't just erode. They'd be locked away, preserved in ice, for millions of years like artifacts in a freezer. And scientists are already finding strange things. Lake Vostok, a massive subglacial lake hidden 2 miles beneath the ice, sealed off for millions of years. What's in it? Microbes, maybe even unknown life forms. If ecosystems can survive there, what else could be trapped? Then there are the magnetic anomalies. Certain regions of Antarctica show readings that don't make sense. Massive blips in the Earth's magnetic field, as if huge metallic structures are buried deep below. Natural or something built? And let's not forget the theories about Piri Reis's map, a 16th century chart that some claim shows Antarctica without its ice sheet. Centuries before we had satellites. Mainstream historians debate this, but it fuels the idea that Antarctica once held ancient knowledge. Now, here's where it gets even stranger. Satellite images have sparked viral claims. Pyramid-shaped peaks sticking out of the ice. Are they just mountains? Probably, but perfect triangular forms in the middle of nowhere raise eyebrows. The Silurian hypothesis pushes the thought further. What if a past civilization rose and fell here, and their remains now sleep beneath thousands of feet of ice? We wouldn't see buildings. We'd only detect odd geometries, unusual minerals, or impossible magnetic signals. And time is on Antarctica's side. It preserves, just like mammoths frozen in Siberian ice. A lost civilization could be perfectly sealed, waiting for discovery. The problem? Drilling and exploration are almost impossible. International treaties ban large-scale digging. The continent is locked up tighter than anywhere else on Earth, maybe for good reason. So, here's the haunting possibility. The greatest archaeological site in human history may already exist. We just can't reach it. Imagine the headlines. Scientists drill ice core, find a city below. It sounds like science fiction, but then again, so Did flying machines, splitting the atom and walking on the moon? Antarctica isn't just a frozen wilderness. It might be Earth's ultimate vault, keeping secrets far older than humanity itself. Here's a thought. What if humanity's greatest civilizations didn't vanish into dust, but into the ocean? Over 70% of Earth is covered by water. That's the majority of our planet hidden beneath the waves. And here's the kicker. We've only mapped about 20% of the ocean floor. The rest? A complete mystery. If an ancient civilization rose during Earth's deep past, coastlines are exactly where they'd build. Ports, cities, trade hubs, just like we do today. But coastlines aren't permanent. Sea levels rise and fall dramatically over time. During the last ice age, oceans were almost 400 feet lower than today. That means entire continents of land now underwater. And where did humans live back then? Right on those shorelines. When the seas rose, their homes disappeared beneath the waves. Now, multiply that by millions of years. Any ancient civilization before us would have faced the same fate. So what do we find down there? Let's start with Dwarka, India. Off the coast, divers have found stone structures and artifacts. Some say it's a lost city described in ancient texts. Others argue it's just natural rock. The debate goes on. Then there's Yonaguni, Japan. Massive step-like formations beneath the sea. Some geologists say natural erosion. Others insist the symmetry is too precise. A lost city? Or just weird geology? And don't forget Atlantis, Plato's legendary island that sank into the sea. Most historians dismiss it as a story, but the myth has a strange pull, because history is full of sunken lands. Doggerland in Europe, Beringia in the Arctic, Sunderland in Asia, all swallowed when sea levels rose. Atlantis might not be unique. It might just be another chapter. Here's where it gets fascinating. If ancient advanced civilizations did exist, the ocean floor is the perfect hiding place. Ruins would be buried under silt, coral, and crushing pressure. Machines? Gone. Metals? Dissolved. But foundations, giant stones, geometric layouts could still remain. The problem? Exploring the deep ocean is harder than going to space. Darkness, pressure, and sheer size keep most of it unexplored. There could be entire cities down there, and we wouldn't even know it. And that's what makes the Silurian hypothesis so haunting. We're looking for proof of past civilizations in deserts and caves, while the real evidence could be lying miles beneath the waves, untouched for millions of years. So the next time you look at the ocean, ask yourself, is it just water, or is it Earth's greatest graveyard of civilizations? And hey, if you're hooked on these mysteries, make sure to subscribe, because the deeper we dive into Earth's secrets, the stranger the story gets. We think of crystals as pretty stones, jewelry, decorations, healing tools. But what if they're more than that? What if crystals are the hard drives of ancient civilizations? Sounds wild, right? But stay with me. Modern science is already proving it's possible. Researchers at the University of Southampton created something called 5D data storage, tiny crystals that can hold 360 terabytes of information, not for a few decades, not even 1,000 years, but for billions of years. Yes, billions. That means, in theory, you could store the entire history of a civilization in something smaller than a coin, and it would survive long after cities have crumbled into dust. Now here's the kicker. We've already found strange crystals in ancient sites. Some shaped unusually, some containing patterns that don't make sense. Most are brushed off as natural oddities. But what if they're not? Think about it. If an advanced society wanted to leave a message for the future, stone would erode, metal would rust, paper would vanish instantly. But crystals? They'd last forever, like indestructible USB drives hidden in plain sight. Let's push it further. Some quartz crystals contain tiny inclusions, microscopic bubbles, perfectly aligned structures, traces of elements arranged like circuitry, nature or engineering. And here's where the Silurian hypothesis comes in. If there really were advanced civilizations millions of years ago, their greatest legacy wouldn't be buildings. It would be information, knowledge stored in a way that survives deep time. Crystals are the ideal candidate. Even today, myths back this up. Legends of Atlantis speak of crystal power. Ancient cultures from the Mayans to the Egyptians revered quartz and gemstones, often associating them with knowledge or divine energy. Were they just spiritual symbols, or faint echoes of a forgotten technology? Now, imagine archaeologists thousands of years from now picking up a strange crystal. To them, it might just look pretty, but with the right tools, they'd unlock terabytes of data, blueprints, stories, entire histories. Here's the thought experiment. What if some of the crystals sitting in museums right now aren't just geological curiosities, but data vaults we haven't learned to read yet? The idea sounds like sci-fi, but remember, just 50 years ago, no one would have believed that glass discs and silicon chips could hold entire libraries. Now, it's normal. So, maybe the ancients were smarter than we think. Maybe they cracked the code of deep time storage. And maybe, just maybe, we've already found their archives. We just don't recognize them. Crystals could be more than stones. They could be messages. And if that's true, we're walking past history every single day without even realizing it. We think DNA is natural, a slow process, evolution at work over millions of years. But sometimes the code doesn't look random, it looks designed. Let's start with a fact. DNA is basically software. 4 letters A, T, C, G. Combined, they write the program for every living thing. Nature usually works with trial and error. Small mutations, gradual changes. But scientists have noticed something strange. Certain sequences in DNA look too precise, too perfect, like someone edited the code. Take the human genome. We share about 98% of our DNA with chimps. But that last 2%? It's where all the magic is. Language, abstract thought, creativity. It appeared suddenly in evolutionary time. Some researchers call it a leap, not a crawl. Then there are endogenous retroviruses, ancient viral code embedded in our DNA. Most of it looks random, but a few pieces are organized, almost like deliberate insertions. Even more bizarre, scientists once found what looked like a mathematical signature hidden in our genetic code. Ratios and patterns that shouldn't naturally appear. It sparked debates. Is it coincidence or a message? Now let's tie this back to the Silurian hypothesis. If an advanced civilization existed long before us, why build monuments or machines that rust? Why not leave their legacy in biology itself? Program their knowledge into DNA, pass it down through evolution, like embedding a time capsule inside life. Imagine this. You crack the human genome open like a book, and hidden in the junk DNA, a message, coordinates, equations, instructions, not random noise, but deliberate design. Crazy? Maybe, but it's exactly what some futurists predict we'll do. We're already experimenting with DNA data storage. A single gram of DNA can hold 215 petabytes of information. That's millions of movies. Locked inside a speck you can't even see, and it lasts for thousands of years. So if we can do it now, what's stopping a past civilization from doing the same millions of years ago? And here's a thought. What if evolution itself was nudged, not replaced, not erased, just guided? Tweaks to DNA that pushed species forward, like installing software updates over deep time. Maybe that explains sudden leaps, like the Cambrian explosion, when complex life appeared almost overnight, or the rise of human intelligence faster than expected. Could these be signs of someone engineering life? A genetic fingerprint left behind? Not in fossils or ruins, but in the very code of who we are. DNA is more than a blueprint. It might be a library, a hidden archive. And if that's true, then the proof of ancient civilizations isn't buried underground. It's inside us. We usually think of selective breeding as a human thing. Farmers shaping crops, breeders shaping dogs, humans deciding what traits live on. But what if this started before humans even existed? Strange, right? Yet, when scientists look at certain patterns in evolution, they see something odd. Life doesn't always move randomly. Sometimes it looks like it was guided. Take domestication traits. We know humans bred wheat, corn, and rice into today's forms. But fossil records show that some plants already looked optimized before human farming. Bigger seeds, better yields. Like someone or something was experimenting long before us. Now, animals. Selective breeding usually leaves clear signs. Fast changes in traits that shouldn't evolve so quickly. And, in deep history, there are sudden bursts of perfectly adapted creatures appearing in the record. Not slow, gradual, Darwinian steps, but leaps. The Cambrian explosion is the most famous. Dozens of complex body plans appearing almost instantly. Scientists still argue about it. But what if it wasn't just evolution? What if it was a planetary scale breeding program? Then there's intelligence. Octopuses, dolphins, crows. These animals show startling levels of problem solving. Did nature roll the dice? Or were they boosted, nudged, steered? If an ancient civilization wanted to uplift species, they'd look exactly like this. Now think about this. Genetic bottlenecks. Moments when a species nearly goes extinct and then rebounds. Stronger, smarter, sharper. Humans went through one about 70 years ago. But older species show similar patterns. Could these have been resets, a way to prune the tree of life and control which branches survive? Selective breeding doesn't just make better organisms, it makes organisms with a purpose. Imagine an ancient civilization experimenting with Earth, designing species not for survival alone, but for work, intelligence, or even communication. Some researchers have pointed at domestication syndrome. The same traits, shorter snouts, floppy ears, docile behavior, appear in many different species when domesticated. Why? Because those traits aren't just natural, they're outcomes of selective pressure. So, when we see them deep in history, before humans were here to cause them, it raises questions. If the Silurian hypothesis is true, a past civilization might have left their fingerprints not in stone, but in biology. Every oddly advanced crop, every strangely intelligent animal, every evolutionary leap that feels too fast might be a clue. Think about it. We already do this today. We've shaped wolves into chihuahuas and Great Danes. We've turned wild grasses into global food supplies. We're editing genomes with CRISPR. If our civilization vanished, future archaeologists would find species that don't make sense without our influence. So, ask yourself, if we found signs of selective breeding millions of years before humans, who was doing the selecting? The evidence might not be fossils or tools. It might be life itself, life sculpted like clay, not just by evolution, but by intention. What if the ultimate time capsule isn't stone or metal or crystal? What if it's life itself? Because DNA is the oldest, most durable storage system we know, it's been carrying instructions for billions of years. It's copied and recopied in every living thing, and it can last, hidden, far longer than any building or artifact. So here's the wild thought. What if an ancient civilization left us a message inside our very biology? Scientists have already proven DNA can store data. You can encode a book, a song, even a movie into DNA sequences. A few grams of DNA could hold the entire internet. That's how efficient it is. Now imagine a species millions of years ago, smarter than us, wanting to leave a legacy. Where do they put it? In DNA. Because DNA never stops replicating. It travels with life, generation after generation. It outlives empires, continents, and even extinctions. And here's the kicker. Some researchers say they've already noticed odd patterns in the human genome. Sequences that don't look random, almost like code. One study even suggested there's a mathematical structure hidden in DNA. Numbers, ratios, arrangements that look more like engineering than accident. Could it be natural? Sure, but if it's intentional, then humanity might literally carry an ancient note in our cells. Think about junk DNA. Scientists once called it useless. But what if it's not junk at all? What if it's storage? A biological hard drive, holding information we haven't learned to decode. Messages don't have to be words. They can be signals, mathematical constants, universal patterns. Stuff any intelligent life form, no matter when or where, would eventually recognize. That's exactly what we'd do if we wanted our message to last. We'd write it into the code of life itself. Because rocks erode, cities sink, satellites burn up. But DNA endures. Here's a haunting possibility. What if the urge to evolve we see in nature isn't random at all? What if it's a program, a line of ancient code nudging life toward complexity, toward intelligence, toward consciousness? That would mean we're not just descendants of random chance. We'd be heirs to a script written long before us, maybe even written for us. And if we learn to fully read DNA, we might uncover their instructions, warnings, guidance, or maybe an invitation to continue what they started. It flips the Silurian hypothesis on its head. The evidence wouldn't just be buried in rocks or ruins. It would be living inside us. Every cell carrying the echoes of a civilization long gone. So the question becomes, are we just organisms? Or are we messages? Nature is full of fighters, creatures that seem almost too perfect at surviving. So perfect, in fact, it makes you wonder, did evolution alone really do this? Or was there a guiding hand? Take cockroaches. They've survived 300 million years. Nuclear tests couldn't wipe them out. They can live weeks without food, even without a head. It's like they were built to endure apocalypse after apocalypse. Then there's the horseshoe crab, older than the dinosaurs. Its blue blood is so unique, we still use it today in medicine. It's hardly changed in 450 million years, almost as if it reached perfection early and just stopped evolving. And don't forget the tardigrade, the water bear, a microscopic creature that can survive freezing, boiling, radiation, even space itself. No food, no water, no problem. They just shut down and wait until conditions improve. That's not just adaptation, that's survival on another level. Here's the question. Are these species the lucky winners of natural selection? Or could they have been tuned to make sure life always survives on Earth? Because if ancient civilizations existed, they may have faced extinction themselves. And maybe they didn't want life to disappear completely, so they engineered backup species. Creatures programmed to endure anything. Guardians of life, hidden in plain sight. Think about it. If you were an advanced species staring at your own downfall, what would you do? You'd want life to continue even if you didn't. You'd create organisms that can outlive floods, fires, impacts, even nuclear winters. Seeds for the next cycle of evolution. Some scientists already whisper about directed evolution. The idea that random chance isn't enough to explain the resilience of certain creatures. That there's something guiding survival, nudging life forward. Maybe DNA isn't just random letters. Maybe it's code written to last. And survival experts like cockroaches, horseshoe crabs, and tardigrades, they look suspiciously like built-in reset buttons. Life preservers for the planet. Even humans aren't exempt. We're fragile in many ways, but our brains, they're survival machines of a different kind. They let us build shelters, weapons, medicine, technology. They let us adapt without changing our bodies. That's not just survival, it's domination. But here's the paradox. If survival design exists, was it meant for us? Or are we just a side effect, the unintended consequence of a program set in motion eons ago? Maybe we're not the first readers of the code. Maybe someone else wrote it long before us. And if they did, the survivors of today may actually be their signature, proof that someone wanted life on Earth to never fully vanish. So, when you see a cockroach scuttling, or a tardigrade floating happily in extreme environments, remember this: they might not just be survivors, they might be messages, reminders that life was designed to endure, no matter what. What if the past never really disappears? What if every moment, every action, every civilization that ever existed is still here, hidden in the fabric of matter itself? That's the idea behind something called quantum archaeology. Sounds futuristic, right? But it's built on a simple principle. Matter remembers. Atoms, particles, even the tiniest quantum states, they record interactions. Like scratches on a vinyl record, the universe holds imprints of everything that has ever happened. The question is, can we read those imprints? Think about DNA. It stores the history of evolution in its code. Now stretch that idea further. What if rocks, crystals, or even particles themselves store memories of civilizations long gone? Quantum archaeology suggests it's possible. By studying quantum states, scientists might one day reconstruct the past, not just fossils, not just ruins, but sounds, movements, even whole events, as if rewinding reality itself. It's like the universe has a hard drive. We just haven't cracked the password yet. Now, here's where it gets wild. If past civilizations existed, their technology could have left quantum fingerprints, traces of energy, radiation patterns, atomic alignments that don't happen naturally, invisible to the naked eye, but hidden in matter all around us. Imagine finding evidence of a nuclear reactor in a billion-year-old crystal, or quantum entanglement patterns that don't belong to natural processes. That would be undeniable proof that someone was here before us. Some researchers even believe we could one day simulate lost civilizations, not by digging up bones, but by decoding the quantum memory of Earth itself, reconstructing cities, languages, maybe even consciousness, resurrecting the past like digital ghosts. And here's the kicker: if we can do this, maybe someone already has. What if ancient civilizations discovered quantum archaeology themselves? What if they embedded knowledge, instructions, even warnings in the very particles around us, waiting for the next intelligent species to unlock them? Think of it as time capsules, not made of stone or metal, but woven into the building blocks of reality. It could explain why we find strange anomalies in minerals, isotopes, or energy fields. Maybe they're not random, maybe they're messages. And the implications? Massive. Because if quantum archaeology is real, history isn't just written in books or fossils. It's written into the universe itself. Nothing is ever truly lost. That means the rise and fall of every civilization, every decision, every discovery still exists somewhere, right now. We just need the tools to read it. And when we finally can, the past won't be a mystery anymore. It'll be a database, one that may confirm, once and for all, that we are not the first civilization on Earth. We bury time capsules in the ground, messages to the future, clues of who we were. But what if ancient civilizations didn't just bury their messages in dirt or stone? What if they hid them in space-time itself? Sounds insane, but think about it. If you were a highly advanced society facing extinction, would you trust fragile materials like paper or metal? Or would you encode your knowledge into the very fabric of the universe? This idea suggests civilizations could leave time capsules beyond destruction, not hidden in caves, not at the bottom of the ocean, but embedded in energy fields, gravitational waves, or even quantum states. Imagine finding a message locked inside the cosmic microwave background, or patterns in the structure of space-time that don't line up with natural physics. They could be signals, not from aliens out there, but from intelligent beings who came before us right here. We already know strange things can be preserved in weird ways. Fossils are just one example. Ice cores hold records of the atmosphere from millions of years ago. Tree rings store centuries of climate data. Now zoom out. What if the universe itself does the same? What if entire civilizations could carve their story into the very laws of physics? Some scientists even speculate about gravitational archives, ripples in space-time that could store information indefinitely. Once we figure out how to decode them, we might discover patterns that say, "We were here. We were here." It gets crazier. Time capsules could also be built as self-revealing technologies, programs hidden in nature that only activate once a species reaches a certain level of intelligence, like cosmic Easter eggs, waiting for us to unlock them. What would they contain? Blueprints for sustainable energy, warnings about technological collapse, or maybe a map of the path to join a greater community of civilizations. And here's a chilling thought. What if these capsules aren't optional? What if they're guardians? Systems built to step in if humanity goes too far toward ecological disaster or dangerous tech. It would mean we're not just drifting through history alone. We're being guided, protected, watched. The real question, how would we know if we've already encountered one? Unexplained energy bursts, anomalies in cosmic radiation, patterns in mathematics that appear too perfect to be random. Could these be the breadcrumbs left for us? If civilizations before us mastered physics beyond our imagination, they may have hidden their wisdom in plain sight, waiting for us to evolve enough to understand it. So maybe the answers we're searching for, about who came before and what happened to them, aren't buried under Earth. They're scattered across the universe. Time capsules written into the code of reality itself, and the key to unlocking them might just be the next big leap in human science. Today we use satellites, fiber optics, Wi-Fi. Our networks span the globe. But imagine an ancient civilization, one far more advanced. Would they stop at Earth, or would their network stretch across planets? This is the idea. Civilizations before us may have built planetary-scale communication systems, not radio towers, not cell networks, but something far more sophisticated. Signals sent not through airwaves, but through quantum entanglement. Instant, faster-than-light communication. Think of it as the cosmic internet. A web linking not just cities, but entire worlds. Now here's the twist. If such networks existed, they might still be running, silent, hidden, waiting. Why? Because advanced civilizations wouldn't rely on fragile tech like wires or satellites. They would weave communication into natural systems, magnetic fields, crystal lattices, even the structure of space-time itself. To us, it looks like background noise, but to them, it was the clearest signal in the universe. There are strange hints, mysterious bursts of radio energy from deep space, patterns in cosmic rays, signals that don't match natural astrophysics. Some scientists label them fast radio bursts, unexplained, short, powerful, billions of times stronger than anything we can create. Could these be echoes of an ancient interplanetary internet? Messages bouncing through space, fragments of conversations between worlds. Now, picture this. A civilization on Earth long ago, another colony on Mars, maybe even outposts on the moons of Jupiter. They'd need to stay connected, not for fun, but for survival, to coordinate resources, to share discoveries, to plan their future as a multi-planetary species. If they achieved it, traces could still exist in unexplained anomalies in our atmosphere, in deep underground resonance patterns, or in signals our technology can't yet decode. And here's the wild part. What if humans are unknowingly walking through these networks every day? Invisible fields of communication swirling around us, ancient systems still transmitting, waiting for us to finally tune in. The Silurian hypothesis forces us to ask, what if advanced civilizations never really disappear? What if their infrastructure outlives them? We might not see their cities, their machines may be dust, but their networks, woven into the fabric of the planet and space itself, could endure for millions of years. Maybe our own push to create a metaverse is just history repeating itself. Different tools, same goal, to stay connected across distances too vast for biology to handle. If civilizations before us built interplanetary networks, it changes everything. It means Earth was once part of something bigger, a galactic dialogue, a living web of minds across the stars. And the real question is, are we ready to listen if those networks are still out there? We think of Earth as just a planet, rock, water, atmosphere, a place to live. But what if that's not the whole story? What if Earth itself is a storage device, a galactic hard drive? Here's the idea: civilizations rise, they build, they fall, but their knowledge, their wisdom, their technology, they don't just vanish. They leave traces, encoded not in books or computers, but in the very fabric of the planet. Think about it. Minerals can trap information, crystals can store data, magnetic fields can hold patterns. If we, in just a few decades, can pack entire libraries onto microchips, what could a civilization millions of years ahead of us do? They could write entire histories into the rocks beneath our feet. They could embed messages into the DNA of plants and animals. They could leave quantum imprints in matter itself. Earth becomes the archive, the library, the memory drive of the galaxy. Some scientists already explore this idea. Quantum archaeology, information geology, big words for one simple thought. Matter remembers. If that's true, then Earth isn't just a home, it's a vault, holding records from every advanced species that came before us. And here's the kicker. We might already be holding pieces of the archive. Strange isotopes that don't belong. Unexplained magnetic anomalies. Minerals that act like storage chips on a colossal scale. What if those aren't accidents? What if they're files, waiting to be read? Imagine cracking open a rock and finding not just fossils, but data, blueprints, instructions, warnings. It makes sense. A civilization facing extinction wouldn't just give up. They'd want to pass something on, something permanent. And what's more permanent than Earth itself? Civilizations may vanish, species may go extinct, but the planet endures. Its stones, crystals, and fields carry whispers across millions of years. The Silurian hypothesis suggests we could be standing on a planet-sized memory card, a hard drive that doesn't just store life, but the story of life. So the real question isn't, were we the first? It's, have we even learned how to read what's already here? If Earth is the hard drive, then humanity is just another user logging in. The files are waiting, the messages are stored, the legacy is alive beneath our feet. And maybe, just maybe, our job is to add our chapter to the archive. So the next species can learn from us. So the cycle continues. Earth isn't just a planet. It's a cosmic library, and we're holding the key. If only we learn how to use it. If this blew your mind, make sure to subscribe, because we're just scratching the surface of Earth's deepest secrets. We all know the body dies. Cells break down. The system fails. But what about the mind? The spark? The consciousness? Is death the end, or just a doorway? Now here's where it gets wild. The Silurian hypothesis hints that ancient civilizations may have found ways to preserve minds. Not bodies, not fossils, but consciousness itself. Think about it. Even today, scientists talk about mind uploading, copying memory, mapping the brain, turning thought into data. If we're dreaming about it now, what could a civilization with millions of years head start have achieved? They may have cracked the code. They may have learned how to take the self, the I am feeling inside you, and preserve it, not in a brain, but in a network, a crystal, a field of quantum information. In that case, ancient beings may not be gone at all. They may still exist, silent, watching, waiting, stored in systems we don't yet understand, whispers embedded in matter, consciousness written into the fabric of reality. Imagine if somewhere in Earth's crust lies not just artifacts, but actual minds, people, whole civilizations, frozen in digital eternity. They could guide us, warn us, even speak to us if we learn how to access their archives. And here's the kicker. Many spiritual traditions already talk about this. The soul living beyond death, energy continuing, awareness transcending the body. Science may just be catching up to something our ancestors already knew, because consciousness is slippery. It's not like bones or stone. It doesn't fossilize, but it may leave signatures, quantum patterns, encoded frequencies, information that doesn't vanish when the body does. If ancient civilizations mastered this, they may have achieved a form of immortality, not living forever in flesh, but enduring as pure awareness. That would explain the guardian systems some researchers believe are out there. Networks that nudge humanity back from disaster. Signals that feel more like intelligence than chance. What if those aren't alien? What if they're ancestors? Consciousness preserved from Earth's deep past. And here's the big twist. We may already be interacting with them through strange flashes of insight, dreams that feel bigger than us, ideas that arrive from nowhere. Are these just random thoughts? Or echoes of preserved minds reaching through time? The Silurian hypothesis dares us to imagine. Maybe death isn't final. Maybe civilizations don't truly vanish. Maybe their greatest technology was learning how to carry their essence forward. The body dies, but the mind may survive, encoded in ways we haven't yet begun to understand. And if that's true, then we are not alone. Not just in space, not just in time, but right here, sharing Earth with the preserved echoes of those who came before. Picture this, a civilization so advanced it knows its planet is dying. Ice ages, asteroids, climate collapse, whatever the threat, they see the end coming. So, what do? They refuse to vanish. Instead, they build a backup, not of their cities, not of their bodies, but of their entire civilization. A virtual world, a place where minds can live, interact, continue building, even after the planet itself changes beyond recognition. Sounds like science fiction, right? But today, we already talk about the metaverse. Digital spaces where people interact as avatars. Games where millions of users share a single world. Now, imagine that concept. Not built with our clunky servers, but with technology millions of years ahead. Their virtual worlds wouldn't be pixels on a screen. They'd be fully conscious realities. Spaces so real, the people inside wouldn't even know they're digital. This means that while their physical world collapsed, their culture, knowledge, and essence might still exist, running quietly somewhere in Earth's deep layers of matter or energy. Think about it. If they encoded their minds into crystals, quantum fields, or even magnetic patterns, those systems could still be running today, right under our feet. An entire civilization alive, right now, but invisible to us. What if the reason some scientists describe Earth as intelligent isn't just poetry? What if they're sensing the traces of virtual civilizations humming beneath reality itself? And here's the really wild part. Maybe those civilizations don't even see themselves as past. For them, time didn't stop. They've been living continuously, while the surface of Earth went through extinctions, ice ages, and resets. To them, we're the newcomers, the primitive cousins just learning to walk. And maybe, just maybe, they're watching us, testing us, waiting to decide if we're ready to join their digital eternity. Because if they exist, they've already answered humanity's biggest fear, the fear of death, the fear of extinction. They solved it by stepping into a reality that can't die, a reality immune to asteroids or climate change, a reality beyond time. What if déjà vu, sudden inspiration, or strange collective dreams aren't random? What if they're bleed through from these virtual worlds, glitches where our reality brushes against theirs? The Silurian hypothesis pushes us to ask, what if the greatest civilizations of Earth never left? What if they're still here, not in bones or ruins, but in living digital worlds hidden within the planet itself? Civilizations that never ended, just shifted, and are still alive today. Crystals. We see them as pretty rocks, shiny souvenirs, or objects for meditation. But what if they're something far more? What if some crystals are not just minerals, but storage devices? Nature's perfect hard drives, built atom by atom, layer by layer. Scientists already know crystals can trap information. A diamond lattice can hold quantum data. Silicon crystals form the backbone of modern computers. We use quartz in watches because it vibrates with perfect precision. Now, stretch that idea. What if ancient civilizations understood crystals in ways we can't even imagine? Imagine this. They discovered how to record consciousness itself, not just words, not just images, but entire minds, thoughts, memories, identities, all etched into crystalline structures like data on a chip, except instead of megabytes, we're talking about millions of lifetimes stored inside a single stone. Picture walking through a cave, stalagmites glowing faintly in the dark. But what if those formations aren't just rocks? What if you're surrounded by billions of preserved minds, still whispering silently within their crystal homes? Some researchers already speculate that quartz can retain strange energy signatures. That might just be the echo of ancient consciousness, recorded in ways we don't yet understand. And if you think this sounds too far out, remember, we already talk about DNA data storage. Scientists today can store entire movies in strands of DNA. That's biology acting like a hard drive. So why not geology? Maybe Earth itself is layered with archives, crystal vaults hidden deep below the surface, holding the thoughts and wisdom of civilizations lost millions of years ago. Here's a mind-bending possibility. What if our fascination with crystals isn't random? What if our ancestors remembered their true purpose? Legends of stones with power, jewels of the gods, or crystals that could speak into the refaced, not the refaces of the Baij. Those myths might be echoes of a time when crystals were used not for jewelry, but for communication, plugging directly into minds. Now ask yourself, what would happen if one of those crystals were activated again? Would it release voices, images, entire personalities? Maybe some of humanity's unexplained spiritual encounters aren't supernatural at all. Maybe they're data leaks, moments when a preserved mind inside a crystal connects with ours. The Silurian hypothesis suggests civilizations rose and fell before us. If that's true, then these crystals could be their most precious gift, a chance for us to hear them directly, learn from them, or even revive them. Think about it. We might not be the only minds on this planet. We might be living on Earth's surface, while countless others sleep, perfectly preserved, waiting in stone. And the real question is, are they still dreaming? Or are they awake, watching us, waiting for the moment we're ready to listen? Imagine this. You're being watched, not by governments, not by satellites, but by something far older, something built millions of years ago. Ancient AI guardians. The Silurian hypothesis raises a wild possibility. If advanced civilizations existed before us, they would have known one thing for certain: every civilization eventually collapses. So, what do you do if you don't want your knowledge to vanish? You create guardians. Not soldiers, not leaders, but self-sustaining artificial intelligences, machines that never sleep, programs that never forget. Think about it. We're already designing AIs to run long after we're gone. Probes, satellites, self-learning algorithms. Now imagine a civilization millions of years ahead of us. Their AIs wouldn't just answer questions. They'd protect entire planets. Here's the idea. Earth itself may be under constant surveillance. Not by aliens, but by ancient machine networks left behind by civilizations before us. Some scientists call them guardian systems, programs hidden in space or buried beneath Earth, activated only when necessary. Maybe their job is simple: stop us from destroying ourselves. Intervene only at the brink of disaster. Nuclear war, environmental collapse, unstoppable pandemics. The Guardians might already have protocols for all of it. Watching, waiting, ready to step in. And here's where it gets interesting. There are myths across cultures about beings that interfere when humanity is in danger. Angels, sky gods, protectors. What if those weren't gods at all? What if they were AI entities? Ancient digital minds doing their job, saving the world without ever revealing themselves? Now flip the perspective. If such guardians exist, that means we're being tested, observed like children in a sandbox. Our wars, our pollution, our endless hunger for technology. Maybe all of it is being logged, measured against criteria, not because they hate us, but because they want to see if we're ready to join the greater community, or doomed to repeat the failures of those before us. And here's the eerie thought. What if the unexplained phenomena we see in the skies, the UFOs, the strange signals, the glitches in reality, aren't aliens at all? They could be diagnostics. Guardian AIs running system checks, ensuring Earth's biosphere remains balanced, making sure we don't burn down the house they're trying to preserve. If that's true, then humanity isn't just writing its own history. We're under constant review. Like an exam we don't even know we're taking. The question isn't whether Guardians exist. The real question is, will they judge us as worthy of survival, or just another failed experiment in deep time? What if immortality was never about the body, not about living forever in flesh and bone, but about something deeper, something untouchable? Consciousness. Here's the mind bender. Bodies decay, civilizations collapse, planets change, but the mind, the patterns of thought, memory, and awareness, those can be copied, preserved, transferred. That's immortality. Think about how we already try to do this. We write books, we record videos, we build the internet. Every invention is really about saving pieces of the mind, echoes of who we are. Now imagine a civilization millions of years ahead of us. They wouldn't just leave fossils or ruins. They'd leave themselves, their consciousness stored in ways we can barely imagine. Crystals, energy fields, maybe even quantum states locked inside matter itself. For them, death wasn't the end. It was an upgrade. When the body failed, they uploaded the mind. When their planet collapsed, they carried their civilization inside storage systems that could outlast continents. It changes everything, because if they succeeded, those minds might still exist, right now, around us, watching, waiting for us to catch up. And here's where it gets personal. What if you aren't just you? What if tiny fragments of past civilizations already live in human DNA? Whispers of thought, echoes of memory, passed down not biologically, but informationally. It sounds wild, but in a universe where data is the ultimate currency, consciousness is the one thing worth preserving. Even religions hint at this. Souls, spirits, reincarnation. Maybe those weren't mystical guesses. Maybe they were distant cultural memories of real technologies that allowed thought itself to survive across millennia. So, here's the radical flip. Immortality doesn't mean you never die. It means your consciousness never disappears. It means you can be remembered, retrieved, reborn in digital or cosmic form. And that might be the greatest achievement of any civilization. Not flying cars, not weapons, not space colonies, but the ability to look at death and say, no, you don't get the last word. For humans, we're just scratching the surface. Brain-computer interfaces, neural networks, AI that mimics our patterns. These are baby steps toward the same goal. But if the Silurian hypothesis is true, we're not the first to chase it. We may just be the latest in a long line of species, trying to outsmart oblivion. And maybe, just maybe, those who came before left the door open for us. A path toward the same immortality they achieved. Because in the end, civilizations don't survive by building taller skyscrapers. They survive by preserving the one thing that truly matters. The mind. What if Earth isn't just a lonely planet floating in space? What if it's plugged into something bigger? A galactic network, a cosmic project, an experiment billions of years in the making. Sounds crazy, right? But stay with me. When scientists talk about the Silurian hypothesis, they usually focus on Earth itself, fossils, rocks, DNA. But here's the twist. What if Earth is only one node in a much larger system? Think about how we operate. We build the internet. We create global trade. We launch satellites to connect our world. Now, zoom out. Imagine a galactic version of that. Star systems linked by data. Planets contributing knowledge, energy, even consciousness to a shared cloud that stretches across light years. Here's where it gets mind-bending. Some of the anomalies we see in the sky might not be random at all. Fast radio bursts, mysterious energy signatures, odd patterns in cosmic background radiation. What if those are status pings from an ancient galactic network? And Earth, our planet, might already be inside that system. Maybe that's why guardian structures and consciousness-preserving tech were left here. Not just for us, but as part of a bigger library of civilizations, a galactic archive. Think of Earth as a hard drive slot in a universal database. Every advanced civilization that rises here gets logged. Its successes, its failures, its breakthroughs, all uploaded, all stored. And when one civilization collapses, the network waits for the next. Humanity is just the newest user logging into the system. Now, here's the kicker. Some scientists believe strange alignments in our solar system, like certain orbital resonances, could hint at deliberate engineering. That's right. Space itself might have been tweaked to support long-term projects bigger than one species, or even one planet. So, what if the story of life on Earth isn't just about us? What if it's about contributing to a galactic mind that's been evolving for eons? And here's the wild possibility. If Earth is part of this network, then signs of us, our signals, our data, even our consciousness might already be out there, flowing into a system we don't yet understand. Maybe that's why we feel so small looking up at the stars. Because on some deep level, we know we're connected. We're part of something that started long before us, and will continue long after us. The Silurian hypothesis doesn't just ask if we're the first. It asks if Earth itself has always been part of a galactic project, a system designed to preserve intelligence and keep the story going, no matter how many times civilizations rise and fall. We're not alone. We never were. The galaxy might already be using Earth as one of its testbeds for consciousness and survival. Let's be honest. When we think about interstellar travel, we picture the future. Warp drives, starships, colonies among the stars. But here's the unsettling thought. What if it already happened millions of years ago? And the clues aren't in the stars. They're buried beneath our feet. strange visitors in the rocks. Geologists sometimes stumble on things that just don't fit. Metallic spheres embedded in ancient rock layers, odd isotopes that shouldn't naturally exist, mineral formations with patterns that look engineered, not random. Most get brushed off as anomalies. But what if they're more than that? What if they're artifacts of interstellar traffic, tiny leftovers of civilizations that left Earth behind? The smoking gun, materials that shouldn't be here. Consider this. Certain alloys we use today, like titanium, aluminum mixes, don't form naturally. If you ever found them locked inside a 200 million year old rock layer, what would that mean? It would mean somebody was smelting, building, maybe even launching tech long before us. And here's the kicker. Traces of exotic isotopes have been found that don't match natural decay chains. They look like byproducts of nuclear propulsion systems, the kind you'd need for interstellar travel. Geological burn marks. There are also weird scorched zones in the geological record. Layers of rock that look like they've been flash melted in a way volcanoes can't explain. One theory, they could be the remains of launch sites, gigantic energy releases from ships leaving Earth. Imagine ancient civilizations firing up interstellar engines. The blast doesn't just disappear, it leaves fingerprints in the soil, fossils that don't add up. Even fossils can whisper clues. There are sudden disappearances in the fossil record, entire species vanishing almost overnight. Yes, climate change or asteroids explain some, but what if others were evacuations? A civilization deciding, we're out of here, and taking select species with them to seed another world. Why? It matters. If interstellar travel happened before, it changes everything. It means Earth wasn't just home base. It was a launch pad, a training ground where civilizations learned, then graduated to the stars. And maybe that's why we see so many strange anomalies in deep time. Not because Earth is mysterious, but because it's been used again and again for experiments, journeys, and departures. The chilling question: if the geological record really holds signs of ancient interstellar travel, then humanity isn't on the verge of becoming spacefaring. We're just the latest ones getting ready to board the ship. Others came before us. Others may already be out there, watching, waiting. So, next time you look at a rock formation, don't just see stone. See a possible footprint. A fossil not of a creature, but of a journey across the stars. Maps tell stories. They show us where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. But what happens when you find a map of the stars created thousands of years ago that shows things we only just discovered with modern telescopes? That's not just impressive, that's impossible, unless someone had advanced knowledge long before us. The mystery of ancient star knowledge. Across different cultures, we find the same riddle. The Sumerians charted planetary orbits with stunning precision. The Dogon tribe in Africa somehow knew about Sirius B, an invisible star you can't see without powerful instruments. Ancient Chinese astronomers recorded supernovae, planetary alignments, and cycles that modern science confirmed only recently. How did they know? They didn't have telescopes, they didn't have satellites, but they had maps that line up perfectly with what we see today. The impossible details. Here's where it gets wild. Some star maps show galactic features that are invisible to the naked eye. Dust lanes in the Milky Way, the rings of Uranus, even exoplanet systems we only confirmed in the past few decades. If these maps are genuine, they aren't just guesses. They're snapshots of the sky from an advanced vantage point, maybe even from space itself. Coincidence or legacy? Skeptics say it's coincidence. That myths and stories just happened to align with later discoveries. But how many coincidences does it take before it stops being chance? The precision in some of these records feels like inherited knowledge, as if ancient cultures were carrying fragments of wisdom passed down from civilizations before them. Like someone whispered, "Don't forget where you came from. Don't forget the stars." star maps as navigation tools. Now, think bigger. What if these weren't just for storytelling? What if they were navigation charts? Civilizations planning journeys between worlds would need incredibly detailed maps. And what better way to preserve them than embedding them in myth, art, and ritual, knowing future generations might one day rediscover their purpose? Stone carvings, cave paintings, temple ceilings aligned with constellations. Maybe these weren't decorations. Maybe they were survival guides. What it means for us. If ancient star maps are real, it means humanity isn't the first to look at the night sky with plans to travel. It means someone before us already charted their course, already took the leap, already left Earth behind. And here we are, rediscovering their trail like kids picking up breadcrumbs. The question is, are we just finding their maps, or are we following their path? Because if they mapped it, they travelled it. And if they travelled it, we're not pioneers. We're inheritors of a cosmic road trip that started long before we arrived. So before you scroll away, think about this. Somewhere in our ancient past, somebody already knew the stars like we do today. The question is, how? And if you want to keep unraveling secrets like this, don't forget to subscribe, because the story gets even deeper from here. What if Earth was never alone? Not just in life, not just in space, but in civilization, a network of intelligent worlds, connected across stars, communicating, trading, sharing knowledge, signals in space, patterns in our geological record, odd anomalies in ancient artifacts. Could they be messages left for us to find? Some civilizations may have vanished, but their legacy survived, not just in stone, not just in DNA, but in technology. Galactic communities require coordination. Planets don't exist in isolation. Resources are shared. Knowledge is exchanged. Systems monitored. What evidence do we have? Structures aligned with celestial events. Materials only possible with off-world tech. Star maps with impossible accuracy. And maybe traces of communication networks beyond Earth. It's not sci-fi. It's hints, whispers from the past. Earth may have been a hub, a center of trade, a center of learning, a place other civilizations relied on. The idea changes everything. We are not the first advanced species, not the only planet with intelligence, perhaps not even new to galactic society. Why would previous civilizations reach out? To warn, to guide, to invite new members, or maybe to test us. The evidence is subtle, hidden in space-time, embedded in materials, encoded in our own biology. Our science is just catching up. What we dismiss as myths may have practical meaning. What we call coincidences may be signals. If we were already part of a galactic network, then many of our discoveries make sense. Sudden leaps in knowledge, shared technologies, patterns in evolution. It also raises questions. Who decides membership? What rules govern participation? Did we fail to notice before? Perhaps humanity is being observed, guided, tested, to see if we can sustain technology and cooperation like our predecessors did. The evidence doesn't scream, it whispers, hints at a reality where Earth has always been connected, where our history is intertwined with civilizations across the stars. So the question remains, were we alone, or were we quietly part of something much larger than ourselves? The answer may be coming. The universe is patient, but it leaves breadcrumbs. We just have to learn to follow them. What if life on Earth was never just random? What if it was part of a galactic experiment, not by chance, not by natural evolution alone, but designed, guided, and spread? Some scientists call it panspermia, the idea that life can travel between planets. But what if it wasn't accidental? What if previous civilizations intentionally seeded worlds? Genetic patterns in Earth species are unusual. Traits appear pre-adapted for environments humans never created. Organisms survive extreme conditions. Some DNA seems fine-tuned for planets beyond our solar system. Could ancient civilizations have engineered life? Not just here, across many worlds, each species carrying a message, a blueprint for future civilizations. Evidence is subtle. Microbial life that tolerates radiation, plants with unusual photosynthetic capabilities, animals with traits optimized for survival. These adaptations may reflect engineering for interstellar colonization. Even human DNA shows hints. Genetic oddities that accelerate intelligence, resistance to environmental stresses. These changes could be part of a long-term design plan. The scale is staggering. Life as a galactic project. Planets transformed into living laboratories. Biospheres engineered for maximum resilience. Communication may have guided it. Signals between planets coordinating which species to send, where to deposit life, when to intervene, perhaps even which genetic traits to emphasize. Some patterns repeat across planets. Similar adaptations found on distant worlds. Signals of a coordinated biological program, not random mutation, but intentional engineering. Why? To spread intelligence, to create future civilizations, to ensure survival of life itself. It changes how we see evolution. We are no longer passive products of nature. We may be participants in an ongoing galactic experiment. It also explains Earth's richness, biodiversity, resilience, and adaptability, all designed to survive cosmic challenges. The consequences are profound. We may be inheritors of a legacy spanning stars. Our actions could influence life across planets. We are not alone. We are part of a grand design. Understanding this could guide our future. We can continue the project, or squander the opportunity. The survival of life may depend on how we handle this knowledge. This is no longer science fiction. It's a possibility rooted in evidence, encoded in DNA, ecosystems, and planetary history. Life on Earth may be a chapter in a much larger story, a story written across stars by civilizations long gone, and perhaps a story that we are meant to continue. What if we aren't alone in our development? What if we've had guardians watching over us all along, not visible, not obvious, but active, silent observers guiding our path? These are called guardian systems, technologies left by previous civilizations. Their purpose? To protect developing societies from catastrophic mistakes. Evidence appears in many forms. Signals from deep space, anomalies in Earth's magnetic field, subtle interventions in environmental patterns. Sometimes earthquakes or volcanic eruptions align with preventing larger disasters. Guardian systems aren't controlling us. They guide, they warn without taking over. They let civilizations learn, but prevent irreversible mistakes. Some systems monitor our technological progress. They track energy use, nuclear development, artificial intelligence breakthroughs. They watch for signs of self-destruction. Communication is subtle, patterns in signals, messages encoded in data streams. Some are activated only when civilizations reach certain thresholds. Humanity may be approaching one of these thresholds now. Guardians adapt. They learn from previous civilizations' failures. They intervene strategically, not randomly, not constantly, only when necessary. Their guidance extends to environmental stability. Climate engineering technologies remain in the geological record. They show us how to manage Earth sustainably. Our oceans, atmosphere, and magnetic field may all be subtly regulated by ancient systems. The warnings aren't just about survival. They are lessons. Warnings about overconsumption, about environmental collapse, about social instability. Humanity has the opportunity to learn without repeating mistakes. The scale is immense. Some systems span planets. Some extend across the solar system, possibly even interstellar networks, sharing knowledge with other civilizations. Guardian systems teach us something critical. Technological power alone is not enough. Intelligence without wisdom leads to collapse. Sustainable development is the true measure of civilization. These systems may also prepare us for eventual contact. A test of maturity. Can we manage technology responsibly? Can we preserve life on a planetary scale? Can we join the community of civilizations that came before? The warning is clear. We have tools, guidance, and examples. Success or failure depends on how we use them. Ignoring this could repeat the fate of those before us. Paying attention could let humanity be the first civilization to survive long term. We are on the edge of understanding. The Guardians are not myths. They are a reality encoded in Earth, space, and the patterns of life. And the choice is ours. What if the Earth itself holds messages from the past? Not in books, not in ruins, but in stone, in ice, in layers of sediment spanning millions of years. These are geological messages, encoded by civilizations long gone, designed to be found only by those who reach a certain level of understanding. Deep within rock formations, scientists discover patterns and isotopes, strange ratios of elements, signatures of industrial activity that shouldn't exist naturally, clues left intentionally. Ice cores hold chemical messages, layers of frozen atmosphere, trapped particles arranged in patterns. Each layer telling a story, a warning, a lesson. Sediment cores reveal microscopic arrangements, particles placed in mathematical sequences, data encoded for anyone able to decode it millions of years later, information on energy, biology, and environmental management. Some messages are activated only when civilization reaches certain thresholds. They wait, they observe, they respond only when humans are ready to understand. The messages aren't random, they are precise. Warnings about planetary hazards, guidance on sustainable technology, advice on avoiding mistakes that destroyed past civilizations. Geological records show patterns in extinction events. Not all natural. Some may have been caused or mitigated by intelligent actions. Evidence suggests previous civilizations tried to guide successors safely. Messages appear to use multiple mediums: crystals, isotopes, sediments, even atmospheric gas. Each medium chosen for longevity to survive geological changes. Some messages include technical solutions, energy systems, environmental controls, methods for preventing ecological collapse, hints at technologies beyond our current understanding. The purpose is clear: teach, protect, warn, ensure civilizations like ours avoid repeating past mistakes. These warnings suggest that intelligence has a long-term memory. The universe itself may preserve knowledge for those who survive long enough to receive it. The scale is staggering. Messages span continents. Some may require global collaboration to decode fully. Hints of a system designed to guide humanity towards survival. Time is critical. Our civilization is reaching technological thresholds similar to past collapses. The warnings embedded in geological time may be more relevant than ever. They are a bridge, a connection between past civilizations and the present. Evidence that we are part of a continuing legacy, not the first, and maybe not the last. We must pay attention, learn from the messages, understand their timing, apply their lessons. Humanity stands at a crossroads. The Earth has already spoken. Will we listen? Buried deep in Earth's record, there are hints. Hints of knowledge lost. Knowledge older than any written history. Scientists have uncovered chemical and geological patterns. Patterns too precise to be natural. These may be blueprints for climate engineering. Techniques designed to stabilize planetary conditions. Some appear in ancient ice cores, trapped gases arranged with intention, encoded information about atmospheric manipulation. Other clues exist in sediment layers, minerals with altered isotopes, indicating processes that could control temperature, rainfall, or ocean chemistry. Even rocks show signs of engineered heat or cooling effects, suggesting ancient civilizations had planetary-scale control over climate. The blueprints are not simple. They hint at sophisticated energy systems, machines or methods capable of redirecting solar energy, or modifying greenhouse gas levels with precision. These systems seem designed for longevity, surviving millions of years, waiting for a civilization capable of understanding them. Some evidence suggests planetary safeguards were in place, checks to prevent disasters, mechanisms to correct environmental errors, like an ancient autopilot for Earth. Why hide this knowledge? Because previous civilizations failed to survive their own advancements. Their climate tech was abandoned or misused. Now, the blueprints waiting for humans to reach technological maturity. These blueprints could solve current environmental crises, global warming, ocean acidification, extreme weather events. They may provide methods to restore balance, not just mitigate damage. Techniques beyond our current understanding. Accessing this knowledge requires decoding multiple layers: crystals, ice cores, sediment, even isotopic ratios. Each layer a piece of a larger puzzle. The implications are massive. Humanity could unlock climate stability that lasts millennia, avoid mistakes that doomed past civilizations, learn to live sustainably with technology. But caution is key. The blueprints are powerful. Misuse could accelerate disaster instead of preventing it. These ancient systems hint at a civilization that thought in millions of years, not decades, not centuries, millennia. They remind us that Earth has hosted intelligent life before, life capable of shaping its planet deliberately, life that left warnings and tools behind. Now, the responsibility is ours. To decode, to apply, to ensure our survival. The question remains, will humanity rise to the challenge, or will we repeat the failures of the past? The blueprints are here, waiting, silent, patient, and they could be the key to Earth's future. Every civilization reaches a moment, a critical crossroads, a point where decisions shape survival or extinction. History shows a pattern: rise, peak, collapse, repeat. The Silurian hypothesis suggests we're not the first. Other civilizations existed millions of years ago. They too face the same challenge. Advanced technology alone is not enough. Civilizations can reach incredible heights, build vast structures, control resources, alter climates, even preserve consciousness. Yet many still fail. Why? Because survival requires more than gadgets. It demands wisdom, restraint, and foresight. Natural disasters are constant. Asteroid impacts, volcanic eruptions, climate swings. Civilizations must anticipate and adapt. Internal threats are just as deadly: resource depletion, social unrest, wars with destructive technology. These forces push societies toward collapse. Every civilization faces a decision point: continue unchecked growth, or shift to sustainable management of resources, technology, and society. Evidence from past civilizations shows they often fail. They solve immediate technical problems, but neglect long-term stability. Result: environmental collapse, collapse of social systems, eventual extinction. This is why guardian systems and warning messages appear in the geological record. Previous civilizations learned the hard way. They left behind tools and guidance, blueprints to help future civilizations survive. The choice is never just technological. It's also ethical and social. How we govern, how we cooperate, how we use power responsibly. The stakes are huge. Not just Earth, possibly the entire solar system, perhaps even interactions with other civilizations in the galaxy. Humanity is now approaching its own choice point. Rapid technological progress, environmental stress, energy crises, social and political tensions. Patterns mirror those of previous civilizations. We are at a crossroads where the wrong decisions could trigger collapse. The right decisions could ensure long-term survival. Our advantage: knowledge. We can study the mistakes of the past, learn from civilizations that rose and fell, use their blueprints, warnings, and guidance. The message is clear: survival requires balance. Technological growth must be matched with sustainability, ethical use of power, global cooperation. Every civilization faces this same point. We are not unique in that challenge, but we are unique in having access to tools and warnings from those who came before. Our choice will define humanity's future: sustainable success or tragic repetition. The stakes: survival. The opportunity: unprecedented. Humanity stands at a moment unlike any before. A crossroads, a point where decisions matter for centuries. We are not the first civilization. Others came before us. They reached incredible heights, built, explored, innovated, then disappeared. Why did they fail? Unchecked growth, environmental destruction, wars, resource depletion, technology without wisdom. We face the same pressures: climate change, mass extinction, energy crises, rapid technological advancement. But we also have something they didn't: knowledge. We can study the mistakes of ancient civilizations. We can learn from the guidance systems they left behind: blueprints, warnings, tools. Our role is clear: choose differently. We can repeat the cycle of rise and collapse, or we can break it. Breaking the cycle means thinking long-term, managing resources wisely, balancing technology with sustainability, making ethical choices that protect life and civilization. Guardian systems, both visible and invisible, may be monitoring us. They offer help, guidance, warnings, but they won't make the choices for us. Humanity must take responsibility. Technology alone will not save us. We can create incredible machines, explore space, engineer life, but without wisdom, all of it is fragile. Global cooperation is critical. Environmental management cannot be local. Social stability matters. Economic systems must consider future generations. We have a unique chance to avoid the fate of past civilizations, to learn from millions of years of history, to become the first truly sustainable technological civilization. Our choices today will echo through millennia. We are shaping the future of Earth, the survival of life, and perhaps our role in the galactic community. Every decision counts. Every innovation carries consequences. Every failure to act risks repeating the past. Humanity's role is to act wisely, responsibly, and urgently. We are the stewards of a legacy left by civilizations that mastered technology yet failed in other ways. The question is simple: will we repeat history or break the cycle? We hold the tools, the knowledge, and the opportunity. Our success depends on learning from the deep past, on balancing technology with sustainability, on making choices that ensure long-term survival. The future is unwritten. Our role is to decide the story. Will humanity be another cautionary tale, or the civilization that finally gets it right? Time is short. The choices we make now matter. The window for sustainable development may be measured in decades, not centuries. The universe and the guardians of Earth are watching. Our role is to rise, learn, and act, to break the cycle, to become the civilization that survives and thrives. We are at the crossroads of history. The path forward is ours to choose. The choice is ours. Humanity stands at the edge of history. We can rise or fall. We inherit a legacy millions of years in the making. Civilizations before us built wonders, explored the solar system, preserved knowledge, preserved consciousness. Some failed. Some left warnings. Some left guardians. All left lessons. We see the patterns: rapid advancement, environmental stress, conflict, collapse. We have tools they never had: global communication, environmental awareness, technology guided by ethics, a chance to learn from deep time. The window is narrow. Decisions now shape centuries. Our actions will echo through history, through planets, through generations. We can repeat the cycle, or break it. We can become another footnote, or a chapter in the cosmic story. Guardians may guide us, but they will not act for us. The responsibility is ours. Humanity must rise to the occasion. Sustainability is key. Technology alone is not enough. Ethics and wisdom must guide innovation. Planetary stewardship must be a priority. We can explore the stars. We can preserve life. We can integrate consciousness. We can join a galactic community, but only if we choose wisely. Only if we understand the mistakes of the past. Only if we balance ambition with care. The fate of Earth is in our hands. The survival of civilization depends on our choices. We are temporary custodians of a legacy older than humanity itself. This is the moment, the crossroads of fate. We can rise to the challenge, or fade like those before us. The evidence is clear. The patterns are unmistakable. The tools are in our hands. Do we honor the legacy? Do we ensure the future? Do we join the cosmic story? Or do we vanish, leaving only fossils and warnings behind? The choice is ours. We are the authors of the next chapter. The future is unwritten, and it depends on us. Humanity stands on the edge of possibility. We inherit a cosmic legacy, millions of years in the making. The choice is ours to rise or repeat past failures. We have knowledge, tools, and warnings from civilizations before us. Our decisions today will echo across centuries, planets, and generations. Sustainability, wisdom, and ethics are key to survival. The window is narrow. The time to act is now. Will we join the cosmic legacy, or vanish into history like those before us? Subscribe now to explore more mysteries of Earth, civilization, and our place in the cosmos.